Okay, here's a live coding video about GenAI, and this time here, what we're going to do is, last time we did a structured JSON, structured output, with the OpenAI, and we're going to add that now with our adapter pattern to Gemini. So that is going to be the goal here, one API for all, we go low level, it's very efficient, very lean, super cool. So for that, let's go back to our code over there. And what we have is our test. And again, for this project here, organized by providers, so like they can test one provider at a time. And the way we were testing that in the previous video is we added this one, chat JSON structured. And we have the body of the test, again, from this library only, inside the command test. So like this, it allows me to reuse everything. And the reason why I like to do that is because then after I can do a cargo wash test. That's my shell. I'm going to put it over there. And we're going to do the test file, test, p, OpenAI, and then we're going to copy paste this guy over there. And that is what we have. So now we press enter, and that should hopefully pass. Okay, so we're all good. And now we can click here to see what we did. That is what we did in the last video here, just yesterday or before yesterday. So what we have here is we do the client, we have our chat request, and we're going to say turn that into JSON. Actually here I say the most probable JSON. That is kind of wrong. I can change that, but it doesn't matter because we actually force it to give the JSON we want. And then we're giving some data. This is just for us to give kind of normal data, such as you can answer back in JSON, something that we can predict. And then we add the JSON schema, which is this one. So that is what we're going to add. And that is a famous additional properties that works for OpenAI and won't work for Gemini. But we are going to handle that in our adapter pattern. So it's going to be pretty cool. And then this is a schema, and then this is a thing. So that works pretty well. So what we want to do is, this is working, and we're going to go back to our OpenAI. We're going to take this guy, and the goal is to go back to this one. There were no JSON mode in Gemini before, I think. So that is their JSON mode in a way. Again, I think that both are useful because with GenAI, the amazing stuff is that we can ask it to understand the JSON schemas that we don't even know. Yeah. So in a way, there will be a scenario of saying, well, change me that to JSON, and then understand your JSON and give some analytics on this. That might work, but the structured JSON is much more simpler to wrap our head around, usually is what we work with. So that's very good to have. So we have the test chat JSON structured, same thing. I'm going to press save, everything compiles. Yeah, so far so good. Don't worry about the flag here. This is kind of an odd duck for the JSON mode. This is because Olama, and I think they fixed the bug, but Olama, when you were going JSON mode, didn't give you the token back. So I wanted to turn off this test because otherwise everything was crashing. Not the library, but the test. I think I can remove that with the latest Olama. I need to test that. That is something else I will do later. So now that we have this, we're going to press save, and we're going to do a cargo. I don't know if someone at Microsoft, I don't know what this stuff is always popping up over there. I'm going to do my CWT, and I'm going to do my test P Gemini, and then I'm going to say I want that guy. Okay? So now, well, okay, actually I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do the chat simple. Okay. So that is to make sure that everything works fine. It should pass. So I'm okay. So this means I have the key, everything is fine. I'm a happy kid. So I'm going to Command C, and then, or Control C, and then I'm going to take this one, this function, and then I'm going to press enter. And that should be kaboom. There's no way that it passes. Yeah, it was not a valid JSON that it got back. Yeah, so far so good. So the way that I work again is I'm going to go to my Git. So before I start changing code, usually when I implement, I already have it in the NX JSON ST. And so if I do a git log, you see that this is a branch I created. Now, the very cool thing here, I'm going to start doing that, and it's awesome. I'm getting excited. But I'm going to tag all the source code that I have. I'm going to have a very cool, awesome app with GenAI and Tori and everything. I have this unique identifier for my videos, which is a kind of 4-digit. And when I'm going to do those videos, I'm going to tag it like video start and video 0 end. And this way I will do the diff in the git commit or whatever, in the README, and then you will be able to follow the thing. So I think it's going to be very nice. So that is what we did before. Yeah, so we started this one. That is not what we did, but we did up to the end. So that is, we added the OpenAI. And I pushed it to oranges, because if some developer were going to do some pull requests or whatever, they had the latest. So that's why I did it. But usually I wait until I have more. So now we had that, and we're going to start our new commit, and it's going to be the same kind of practice that I have. Git C, and I'm going to do my tilde. Tilde means that it has to be Scratch, JSON, ST, Gemini, okay, and start. Okay, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so that will be my starting point, everything I add. And then if I have another commit that is experiment, I will add another commit, and then I will git amend those to Scratch them, and then merge it to master and push it. Yeah, so that's a little bit the practice for the bigger features. So now, what I'm going to want to do is go to where the action is happening over there. We're going to close this one here. I'm sure you don't see it, but closing this guy. And so it's always fail. And it said that it's not a valid. So that's pretty good error. And I'm going to go, and I think I can do something like this, just to debug. Yeah, so I'm going to have my debug print, chat res, and then for that I'm going to have the chat res is something that has txt in it, and I'm going to say unwrap or I could have said OKR as well, yeah, because in question mark unwrap or no content. Okay, so I press save, and that should give me whatever the guy sent me. So not too bad, yes? The model can send me the JSON, probable one, but he sent it to me in README, which is fair enough because the Gemini model wasn't really trained to answer back in JSON, so he did a pretty good things. Yeah, in a way, they are very trained into sending things in Markdown in a way. Yeah, kind of. So that makes sense, at least when you ask for text stuff. So that kind of makes sense in a way. And that wasn't too far. It's kind of sad that they don't have a JSON mode because there would be a value to have something like that, but that is another story. So what we want is to resolve that, such as the adapters that we have over there. So we have this adapter kind of architecture. And the way that I work is I put all of the adapters over there, yeah, and that is private to the adapter. So nobody really needs to see the adapters with a S. And that is some of those guys here are exposed within the crate. So for example, we have the adapter types that have the functions. And those is internal cooking, yeah? So it's not for other people. They have these kind of things. And that is what the client that I have there will call. So this way, that allows me, the client, to not know who I'm calling. I have a static dispatcher over there, and that is my trait. Okay? So let me hide the thing, but this is my trait. And then the dispatcher that I have there is just a very boring one. There's some macros. There's a cool one, I think, about traits and stuff that can help that. Sometimes I don't always use macro. I like to have code explicit, but macros are good too. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the pattern. And the pattern is we have a trait there. Now, we have this two web request data, and that is where the magic happens. That is what the client are using to say, hey, give me the bodies that I need to send. So that allows me to abstract it. So if I go to my Gemini, and so this is what we did, yes, in OpenAI, when we did the things, we did that in the two web request data. Now, In OpenAI, there's another level of indirection because there's multiple AI providers like Grok and Olama that are using the OpenAPI. And so there's another kind of level indirection here where I have these kind of things where you send the base URL and all these kind of things. Okay? So that is another utils, which is below. It's an implementation of the OpenAI adapter, but it's just for the OpenAI adapter. And so if I go to the to web request, which is the official implementation of the adapter for the OpenAI adapter, then this one just do a pass-through on this guy. That allows the other adapters to call directly this, and I put it into the struct in a way, or the type OpenAI adapter, rather to create something else. It could have been a function inside the OpenAI module, doesn't really matter. So that is a design. Now for Gemini, it's simpler because we just have one Gemini, and nobody is going to think, I think, having a Gemini API kind of thing. So it's just about implementing the to web request data. And so if we go to this, I'm going to try to fold, this is my adapter pattern. Now I'm going to just implement this guy over there. That is where the magic is going to happen. And as we can see here, we get the vector, we're building the things, but we're building the payload, but obviously we're not doing anything about the response format. That is where we want to add our stuff. Okay, so I'm going to fully expand this code. I'm sorry about the code folding. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. Okay, and then this is the types. Yeah, so before we had the generation config. So in the spec here, we had these things. Yeah, we had this. We had in the web here. We have. It's inside the generation config. So we know that that is where it is. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a section over there for our response format. And what we can do is go back to our implementation over there. And because we're lazy, we're going to copy this one. That is about what we want to do. So this way we should probably return some things that we're not structuring it, but then, or we can do just a if let this guy. Okay? So that is what we're going to do. We're just going to do a if let this, and then we'll see later. Okay. So we are going to, okay, just take this one. Okay, so we go back to the adapter over there, and we're going to say if let some response format, and we're going to simplify actually later. And that will give us a response format. And in fact, what we can do is we can be smart and we can do a chat response format. And we're going to do, we need to import it if we want to have the autocomplete. And then we're going to have our structured JSON. Okay, so that is the way. So like this, we have our structured JSON. And often I call it ST. So this is going to be the things, and here we're going to do the X-insert. Okay, so that will be our thing. I press save, so here is going to complain here. That is a noise, but obviously it doesn't pass. Yeah, so, but I keep it there. I don't really care. And then what we have, once we have this, we want to basically insert response mem type into the generation config and the response schema, which is going to be more or less the as is. Okay, so that is what we want. So we are going to be, and this is, I have the memory of a bird. So I need this. And this is not because I'm old. When I was young, something. So payload X insert, and then generation config / response mem type. Okay, and the application. There would be a more optimized kind of way to do that. The cool thing about this kind of X insert, and that is the video I did about the value trait extension for JSON. It allows us to do xget, xinsert, and actually after we're going to say even a xwalk. My pattern here is to have x underscore when it's extension trait to make sure. Usually the x underscore is only for me, but when I do the value extension trait, I say, well, it's kind of fitting, and I leave it there for now. And that's one. And then the other guy is to have the JSON schema. We're going to do a payload xinsert. That will be the same path as the one before, but now response schema. So that will be this guy. And this will be our st JSON. And I should have schema. That is the way it works. Obviously, I need to do that like that, and then press save. Now, this one complains. I'm sorry, that was silly. Now I have this, and this needs to be cloned, and then we should be happy. Now, the reason why I don't want to take on this kind of structured JSON, because again, here I'm using option sets, and some of the option could be a fallback on the client. So that is my API allows you to have default option on the client. Wouldn't really make sense in this case, I guess. But the point is, because that is an option set API, we always want to clone because we cannot consume it because it could be used by someone else. So again, Rust kind of make sure that enforce kind of these good patterns. So now that should be good. And we can look at our test and then boom. So it's already very cool, yes, because we just have the cargo test, we just change that, and we already have the thing. I mean, it's working kind of, yeah, because it gives us, hey, your invalid JSON payload and all these kind of things. The guy is coming, and it is the additional properties. But we're going to work on solving this one, which is going to be a super cool example. So right now, we need to validate our assumption. I'm cheating here because I did some experiment before, so I know that this one is the odd duck. But typically, you are going to, go and then say, okay, what's happening? And then we're going to do the implementation. And if we go back there, we're going to remove that, press save, and boom, voila. And programming is awesome, man. So now that works. The problem here, and I've done it, so I'm going to save you here. If I keep additional properties false to the other guy, to OpenAI, he will complain. We're not going to ask. I mean, the whole point of GenAI is to be, I don't like convenient, yeah, but to normalize APIs and to have, at least we need to have a JSON schema that works for everybody. So there's a couple of things. One thing we can do is to say, when we talk with OpenAI, if there's no additional properties, when the type is object, we add it as possible. And then when we talk to Gemini, when we have additional properties, we remove it. So that is what we're going to do right now, is to do these kind of things where we're going to remove it for now. And then after, I need to think if it's a good idea to add it when it's not there for OpenAI. And I might, because when you are using schema arrays and all these kind of things, I think it's kind of get tricky here. And in the programmatic, I don't know how additional properties equal true will fit into the workflow. So in a way, we're going to take this approach. So now what we can do is we're going to go back to the adapter. And so actually, I'm sorry, go back here and we're going to actually enable it. So the thing is going to go kaboom. It's fine. But we know that that works with OpenAI. Yeah. By the way, a quick one here. I will do when things kind of, well, I mean, this one doesn't work, but I will say git c. I'm going to do a git log, copy that guy, git c works, but need to clean up additional props. It doesn't really matter again because that is going to be scratch. Just want to keep the two steps for whatever reason. So now I can remove that over there, and that cries now, which is normal. So we're going to go back to our adapter. We're going to go back to this, and we're going to go there. So problem is this schema, we can clone it. Go to have mute, you're going to see it. Why? Schema, and we do the clone. Yeah, so we are cloning the stuff. Now, what we want is to remove those additional properties. And so we're going to go brute force right now. We don't need to be smart. We can be smart later. So we're going to do the schema, and that is the cool value ext create that I've done. We have xwalk, and that takes a closure that have the what? I don't remember. That takes a closure that has a function closure, and the closure is parent map and property name. And the parent map is a hash map. I need to have a better documentation over there, by the way. So, and this is one thing, by the way, with Rust, and why I'm moving all my development, my teams and everything to Rust. Because this fact here that we can just come and click and see the code and everything kind of work with other language, but not as well, not as smooth as with Rust. Even with TypeScript, sometimes you find your TypeScript type, then it's not the implementation, and you have to dance all of that. So this is kind of an amazing thing with Rust. It works very well. So we have the map here, so parent, map, and name. Okay. The reason why I've done like this in the value xt is because we cannot do the Java type where we give you the root as a mutable, the parent as a things, and the child value and everything. You have to decide what you want to give here. I cannot give the value mutable as well as a parent mutable. That wouldn't work. So I decided, hey, I'm going to give the parent map as a mutable, and I'm going to give the name, the property name, as a str. So that is the two types that we have there. Mutable reference map and things. And now I'm a happy kid, because now what I can do is I can do if name equal additional properties. I hope I don't misspell it. Then we're going to have parent map remove. I think this is probably a remove. And then we do additional property. So we might want to put that in a constant or whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay. So if we do that now, every time it will go down, all the things. And by the way, I'm sorry, this one needs to return true. So true means you continue to walk up to the end. Okay, so this way, this API is pretty cool because you can stop walking. If you do that with an iterator, it becomes a little bit tricky. This way, it works very well. Now, if I press save, hopefully it compiles. Sorry, that is annoying because you probably see it and then it's distracting. And then press save, and then that fails. So let me look at this one. So what was going on there? Okay, I'm sorry. This one was a silly one. I'm sure you spotted it when we were staff. Obviously, we need to give it there, because otherwise, what's the point? We clone it. Sorry about that. Press save, and then voila. I'm saying that is awesome. I mean, this is just awesome. So now that we have this, we're going to stop the test there. So this means that the test kind of work, yeah? So because we did the assert even in the test. So now what I'm going to do is this next step, which is going to be pretty cool. And you are going to see why I like to iterate. Then I'm going to go to the command test. Yeah, I can go anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm going to take this guy, okay? And now I'm going to do a CWT. So remember, the CWT shell take two arguments. If there's two, then it would take the name of the test file and then the filter of the test function in a way. So you always need to at least give like test underscore, and that will work, but that is the best practice anyway. But if you give only one, then it will test everything on the function. And that is just using cargo test, yeah? So there's nothing, it's just using the right command. Now if I do this, and it's always tricky, but I think we got the two. We got this one, always tricky to know which one it is. So we've got this one from Gemini, okay? And we got this one from OpenAI. So then what I do is I do a Command Shift F to search all of my debug print. I remove that because I'm happy. I press save. That should give me this one, works. This one is Gemini. And then the OpenAI is over there. That's it, it works. Now, what I'm going to add, and I don't want to do it here, I think you got the point. In the OpenAI point, what I'm going to do is something like that. we could almost do it here, but I'm going to, let me know in the comment if you want me to kind of do it all the way. But what I'm going to do in the OpenAI, I'm going to have exactly the same work business here. So exactly the same thing. Okay, let's do it. This is annoying to talk and not do. So I'm going to do that. And now I'm going to go to OpenAI. And I'm going, so that is going slowly here. So just doesn't, that is our util there because it's our business. And then this is the thing, okay? And we have our JSON schema. So we need to kind of sanitize, check the JSON schema. So we will do the same one here that we have, whatever I want that, schema. And now I don't want to remove it, yeah? So I say, if everything has name, if the property, how we're going to do the thing. We can do, if the name is property type, okay, so this is why I didn't do that. If the name is a property type and parent map, we're going to use as get. We could use a stuff, but as get type, and we're going to say it's equal object. Yeah? What we want is to do insert additional property, and we're going to do false into. That should work, I think. Now, this guy is not going to work because we can do something like that. Let tip equal that. And I think I should be able to do a tip object. And that needs to be a toString, I think. Okay, so this one complains because I don't... oh, sorry, this is not a value, yeah? So I need to do a get type. Okay, so it's going to do a get. Okay, so this is not... I'm sorry here, I'm being slow. So that is going to be an option. So this is the way I do, yeah, when it starts like this. I wanted to try to be too smart here, but so the parent map is not a value, so I need to get the thing here that will return an option of value if, and I can say, and then I think I will do something like that. So that is a value, and then I will say value as str. I will do something like that. And that is an option of str. And then I will say unwrap or empty string. Okay? This is silly, but works pretty nicely. And then obviously I could do a if let or is. But that will be fine. So we have this, and now everything works like before. That we didn't really change anything. Yes, we stuff. By the way, the other tests are not running. Yes, so it's only the one that the function that match. Okay. And now that we have that, to test our coolness, we are going to go to our support, and hopefully it works, because otherwise, and we're going to say, well, let's say that we forget to put those guys. Let's save. The Gemini works, and the OpenAI works. That's it. So I think I'm going to commit this one here. I'm going to squash them, commit them, and I'm going to do the release relatively soon. There's only one thing here, and I'm not going to do it here. It's just a little silly formatting. Is I don't like, to show you what I don't like. I've been thinking overnight, and I do not like this one here, the structured JSON. What I'm going to do here, and git, I can say git log, and then git amend. So what I will do is squash these two. Now, what I'm also going to do is, I don't like this structured JSON. I've been thinking about it. This is a bad name, and I think my brain kind of got confused because everybody is talking about structured output, so I wanted structured JSON. It's just silly. What it is actually is more this type here. This is what we're going to call, okay, JSON spec. So in GenAI, that will be a JSON spec, which will be used for tools as well as structured output. And now this variant here is going to be the JSON spec. So the idea is JSON mode is open bar, we don't know, we ask and we pray. JSON spec is when we have a JSON spec. A JSON spec can be used for function calling, And in this case, the name will become the method name, and then those guys will become the parameters. And if not, you can pass a JSON spec, which is what we did, into a structured output API. And in this case, the schema will be used as a schema, and that will be used whenever it makes sense. Okay, so that is going to be the things. And actually, I just did it here. I didn't want to lie, I promise. It is too easy with Rust. And then that's it. Everything passed and everything. I cannot do too many cargo tests because Cohere sometimes complains that I pass the stuff. But this one works, everything is well. So that will be another commit. Probably I will do another commit about this one, which is rename. We'll do something like that. See, I put a dot because it's not an exclamation mark, because I didn't change the API, because it's wasn't released in a release. So I can just put a dot and say rename structured output to JSON spec. And that is going to be awesome because it's going to allow us to do the thing. And now I'm going to use fork. I love fork. This is this guy. I pay for it. Feel free to pay for it. I mean, it's great to support great developers. And I'm going to click on this one and then interactive. I can do the Git, rebase interactive and stuff. But this one is stuff. I will do squash to parent and then I rename it. And then I'm going to merge it. And I'm going to do the release. So hope you liked it. Like and subscribe helps a lot. Comments a lot. Big thanks to Google Gemini for their sponsorship. And until next one, happy coding.